Public with an update of the currently available information regarding yesterday's tragic shooting. Homicide detectives have been working around the clock to gather information and evidence. There's still a great deal of work to do before the investigation is completed. This briefing is only a recitation of verified information. I want to begin by honoring the three precious lives that were lost yesterday. Angela Michelle Carr, 52 years old. Anolt Joseph, or AJ, Laguerre Jr., 19 years old. And Gerald Deshawn Gallion, 29 years old. Yesterday, homicide detectives completed their next of kin notifications of victims' family members. We continue to pray for the loved ones and of those who were lost through this maniac's acts of senseless violence. The Office of the Medical Examiner has positively identified the shooter as Ryan Christopher Palmetter. The shooter was 21 years of age when he committed yesterday's atrocities. He lived with his parents in Orange Park in Clay County, Florida. To our knowledge, he had no criminal arrest history. And as I said yesterday, he did have a Baker Act petition from 2017. This petition occurred in Clay County, and it appears that the shooter was held for 72 hours under the Baker Act provisions and then released without further involuntary commitment. Homicide detectives have been able to establish a timeline of events up to and including the shooting. On 7/6 of 2017, he was Baker Acted in Clay County. On 4/6 of 2023, the FFL transfer to Orange Park Gun and Pawn of a Glock 20 Generation 4 10 millimeter. On 6/22 of 2023, the FFL transferred to Wild West Guns and Gold Palmetto State Armory PA-15 5.56 millimeter AR-15 type rifle. On 8/26 of 2023 at 12:48 in the afternoon, suspect arrived at EWU behind the library in a gray Honda Element, and he dons his bulletproof vest. During this time, a TikTok video of the suspect getting dressed at EWU with no timestamp on that TikTok video. At 12:55 in 10 seconds, EWU security backs into a parking spot in the same parking lot as the suspect. At 12:57 and 49 seconds, the suspect leaves EWU south on Pierce Street, then west on Kings Road. At 12:58 and 17 seconds, EWU security follows our suspect out of the parking lot. Between EWU security leaving the parking lot and ShotSpotter 911 call at Dollar General at 1:08:04, EWU flags down JSO officer and says there's a suspicious person on campus. A white male, heavy set, wearing a gray tank top, black shorts, bulletproof vest, and blue latex gloves, and a tan Kia. That was the description they thought. They thought he was in a Kia. The officer states he's researching the vehicle and the subject to see if there was any calls for service, active or pending, and in the process of writing a be on the lookout or a BOLO when the suspect when the shooting goes out. At 1:08, an 11-round ShotSpotter activated. At 1:08 and 13 seconds, the suspect's on video in the parking lot in front of the store, shooting into a black Kia and murders the first victim, Ms. Angela Carr. The suspect enters the Dollar General store and engages the second victim. I saw a young 19-year-old victim, Anolt Laguerre. At 1:08 and 24 seconds, multiple witnesses exit the rear door of the store. At 1:08 and 47 seconds, the suspect exits the same rear door. At 1:09 and 6 seconds, one round ShotSpotter goes off. At 1:09 and 13 seconds, the suspect enters the same rear door. And at 1:09 and 30 seconds, the suspect shoots at a security camera several times but misses. At 1:09 and 50 seconds, the first 911 call goes out. At 1:10 and 30 seconds, victim Jared Gallion enters the store with his girlfriend. At 1:13 and 5 seconds, one round ShotSpotter initiates once again. At 1:13 and 10 seconds, the suspect shoots a third victim, Gerald Gallion. At 1:13 and 12 seconds, the suspect chases witness Elvisha Chappell through the store, shooting at her but does not strike her. At 1:13 and 25 seconds, Elvisha Campbell exits the rear door the rear east door of the store. And at 1:13 and 37 seconds, the suspect shoots out the rear door on the east side of the building. At 1:13 and 43 seconds, a 4-round shot spotter initiates. At 1:13 and 47 seconds, the suspect reenters the building and walks back towards the office. At 1:14 and 23 seconds, the suspect enters the office. At 1:18, the suspect texts his father and says, "Use a screwdriver to get into my room." The father enters the room and finds a last will and testament of the suspect along with a suicide note on his laptop. At 1:19 and 21 seconds, the officers enter the building and begin to clear, just 11 minutes after this whole ordeal began. Patrol clearing the hallway when an officer hears a single gunshot. We believe that's when he killed himself. At 1:41 and 3 seconds, EWU security Marcus Williams calls to notify JSO. At 3:45 or 3:44 and 24 seconds, our SWAT officers confirm that the suspect's down. Homicide detectives have gathered surveillance footage, video footage from the Dollar General, which captured the shooter's rampage. I will share portions of that video right now. Again, out of respect for the victims' families, we are going to cut this video short. We will not be showing their loved ones and what happened to them inside the store. Rather, these video surveillance excerpts detail some of the shooter's movements outside and inside the Dollar General. As you'll see from the video footage, the shooter outfitted himself with a tactical vest, which he covered with a short-sleeved button-up shirt. He created a facial covering and donned gloves for his attack. This investigation is ongoing, and I will provide you with additional information as is established and verified. I want to thank our law enforcement partners for their continued support in this investigation. As our community collectively grieves this tragedy, this agency will continue to diligently investigate so that we can provide victims, families, and our community with as many answers as we can. Our community is grappling to understand why this atrocity occurred. I urge us all not to look for sense in a senseless act of violence. There's no reason or explanation that we'll ever account for the shooter's decisions and actions. His sickening ideology is not representative of the values of this Jacksonville community that we all love so much. We are not a community of hate. We stand united with the good and decent people of this city. We reject this inexcusable violence, and this agency will not rest until this investigation is complete and every available avenue of accountability has been exhausted. Now, I'll be happy to answer any questions after we view this video. Again, the video is rather short because I don't think some of the things that are on there are appropriate for television. It's not meant to entertain or be insensitive to our victims and our victims' families. So I wanted the people to be able to see exactly what happened in this situation and just how sickening it is. I'll answer any questions if I can. Yes, sir.
There was talk that he was a manager at the store, worked at the Dollar General. Are you able to confirm or deny that?
We have no information that he worked at that store.
Sheriff, we're hearing reports from witnesses that the gunman led 2 white women out of the store without harming them before he opened fire. Have you been able to confirm anything like that?
He let, from what I'm understanding from our lieutenant here, he let several people out of the store. Why, I don't know. Some of them were white, but I do believe there was a couple that were not.
Did he give a warning before he started shooting?
No, when you see him walk out on the sidewalk and he points that gun at that car, he fired 11 rounds at that car. He did not give any warning. He just did it.
And when he was inside the store, someone had told me that he'd said, if you don't want to die, then leave the store. Do you know if he said that?
Those are all statements that we're looking into and trying to confirm and verify.
Sheriff, is there going to be any double-down police presence in that area or any other areas within Jacksonville to prevent against potential copycat?
We are staying very diligent and vigilant in our community, making sure people, and this is what we talk about. This is why I'm talking about it so much. I want people to be paying attention. I want people to see anything you see that may be strange out there. I mean, we don't expect anything like this to happen again. We hope that it never happens again. But we also ask our community to be on the lookout and just be aware of the possibilities. We don't think, again, there's no information that gives us any belief that this is going to happen again. But of course, we're always going to be paying close attention.
Sheriff,
Sure,
after
this is
reading
Will
the-
Brown, WGCT News. You mentioned earlier that this gentleman here initially went to Edward Waters University. Is there, from your investigation so far, has there been any indication why he specifically went there first?
It looks to me that he went there to change into whatever he needed to change into. He had an opportunity to do violence in EWU. He did not. There were people very close, in very close proximity. He did not do anything there. He backed out and he left.
Sheriff, after reading that manifesto, how difficult is it for you to stand here and process this hate crime that entered your community, very similar, almost a year after that horrific shooting in Buffalo, almost similar in nature?
I can tell you it angers me as a sheriff, as a member of this community. No family should ever have to deal with something like this. Anyone who enters into a store and does this to perfectly innocent people, one doing his job, a couple of customers, is baffling to me. It's very difficult for me to watch, and I've seen a lot over 32 years. And I don't ever want to have to see it again, and I don't like it, and we are going to make sure that we work as hard as we can to stop these kind of things from happening again. That's why we are paying very close attention to this. We're doing so much to try to determine what exactly led to this. The manifesto is quite frankly, the diary of a madman. He was just completely irrational. But with his irrational thoughts, he knew what he was doing. He was 100% lucid. He knew what he was doing. And again, it's disappointing that anyone would go to these lengths to hurt someone else.
And Sheriff, could you explain, are there any details as to why he was Baker active back in 2017, and were his guns taken at the time?
No, he didn't have the guns back in 2017. He was only 15 at the time. There was no flag that could have come up to stop him from purchasing those guns. As a matter of fact, it looks as if he purchased those guns completely legally, and all the FFLs did what they were supposed to have done to make sure that there were no issues. So therein lies the difficulty. When a person grabs a hold of a gun with hateful intentions, it's very difficult to stop that from happening.
Sheriff,
I
are you
just want to
looking
make
worried?
sure, I just want to make sure I have this all in one place in terms of sound here. Can you just tell us, clarify, where did those firearms come from? Were they legal guns, and were they legally possessed?
They were 100% legal, and as I stand here with you today, they were legally possessed. There was nothing indicating. Again, like I said, it appears that the dealers that sold those guns to him did it legally. They did what they were supposed to have done. One was Wild West Guns. What was the other one?
One was Wild West Guns and the other was Orange Park Gun and Pawn.
So it appears they did everything that they were supposed to do as a gun dealer. There was nothing indicating that he should not own guns.
So then standing here on the other side of this podium, he possessed these guns legally. We know what he did with them. What could have been done? What should have been done?
Well, we have to stop people that have bad intentions. The story is always about guns. People are bad. This guy's a bad guy. If I could take my gun off right now and I lay it on this counter, nothing will happen. It'll sit there. But as soon as a wicked person grabs a hold of that handgun and starts shooting people with it, there's the problem. The problem is the individual. Now, guns are a tool that people use to do horrible things, but it's the individuals that wield these things. So we are working hard to try to stop that. But in this situation, in this case, there was nothing illegal about him owning the firearms.
Sheriff, given the racial component to this shooting, are you worried this might have implications in the community of a racial divide here locally or even nationwide?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a racial divide in our city. And actually, I work along with some of the best people in the entire world. And it doesn't matter what color they are or what they look like. We are banded together as a community to fight these issues. And I don't think there's a racial issue. I know there are racial issues with some people. But as a whole, we are all standing here together because we're concerned about the same thing.
Aside wicked people and evil people, what we call, what about mental illness? Given the legislation that Governor DeSantis signed a few months ago,
Yep.
people are concerned about that anybody with mental issues, and this person seemed to have a little bit of history that was seeable. What can we do about that locally or statewide or in general?
We have to do a better job of background checks And they're doing background checks. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. But there was nothing there to indicate that he shouldn't own a firearm, then there's something else that needs to be done. But really what needs to be done is people need to tell us when they see or they hear these things rising up in an individual. I don't know if anybody knew how he really felt. We haven't ran into him yet. We're still looking. But yeah, that's my answer to that. I mean, mental illness is there, but not everyone that's mentally ill grabs a firearm and kills people for no reason.
Sheriff, an 11-minute response from when things start to when things really end. What are some lessons that you early on the JSO can take from yesterday's event of racial violence that JSO can take moving forward in terms of responding to hopefully not again similar incidents?
Well, we responded very quickly. The reason he went back into the store is because there was a K-9 officer at the door, waiting for him, looking for him. So we responded very quickly. We have to just remain vigilant. We have to remind people to call us. If it doesn't matter what it is. If it looks weird, if it looks strange, call us, tell us so that we can respond. If it looks like he's putting on a bulletproof vest, if it looks like he's putting on gloves, you have to call us and let us know. And I appreciate the security guard at EWU flagging down a policeman and tell him about it. Well, pick up that phone, dial 911, get on the phone with the dispatcher, because we can get real-time updates and find out what's going on, and we can respond that much quicker. Those are some of the things we learn. Of course, we're learning more and more every time. Unfortunately, some of these things happen. So now we're going to study it. We're going to continue to study it. We're going to continue to work it until we find out exactly the entire history of the thing, and then we'll put some things into practice to continue to work and make sure we can respond as we did just then, yesterday.
Have you had any time to look into his disposition to violence in his past with his family?
Let me tell you this. There was no criminal record. Nothing. No criminal history. Nothing. He had a domestic violence call at his house with his brother. We'll handle that. So we understand how to investigate. So we're going to continue to investigate this. But what I'm telling you is, where it stands right now, there was nothing that we could have done to stop him from owning a firearm, a rifle, or a handgun. There was no red flags. All right?